Okay, a quick response time test. Kate Beckinsale. Oh yeah, that was good. That was quick. Joy Behar Naked. Oh yeah, that was real quick. It's working perfectly now. Hey folks, we are back with another video, and today we are going to be doing a 600-hour service on a RockShox Reverb AXS wireless dropper post. So this post belongs to a subscriber of mine. He had issues with it and contacted me and wondering if I was going to be able to help him out. And I was like, sure, man. So we worked it out where he was able to get me the post. But then we had to go around the world hunting for a 600-hour service kit, which was surprisingly hard to come across. So by luck, we happened to find one, and it delivered a few days ago. So now I'm able to perform the service. All right, so this is gonna be a complete 600-hour service, ripping the whole post apart basically and putting it back together. Now the issue with this post when he sent it to me was, one, it has sag and I cannot get rid of the sag via the vent valve in the bottom. Two, it actually had suck down or suck up, whatever you want to call it. Basically what happened was if you try to extend the post all the way, it would suck back down. I was hoping to be able to get rid of that with the vent valve, but it didn't. It actually created an issue where I cannot activate it and push it all the way down now. That's telling me that all the air is on the wrong side of the IFP right now. And ultimately there's just too much pressure in order to be able to get the post down. So either way, we'd have no option but to open it up to fix that problem. So if your post sags like this, right? And you cannot, no matter what, get rid of it, venting using the vent tool, as I explained in a previous video I did on a 200-hour service of this post, then basically your issue's in the IFP chamber. And you're gonna have to open up the post, okay? Now you don't need the 600-hour kit to actually take care of that problem. We figured, you know what, since I'm gonna open up the whole thing apart anyway, why not just do the entire service? All right. So next, let's go over the parts needed. Oops. Let's go over the parts needed and the tools needed to get this job done. So if you want to do the 600-hour service, you are going to need the 600-hour service kit, part number 11.6818.051.001. And I'm not kidding, guys. Right now, this thing is extremely hard to come across. I have no idea why. This dropper's been out for like, what, 3 years now? You have to figure there's a bunch of people that actually need this service. Never mind people that run into this issue before they even need a 600-hour service, right? So we came across it by fluke, found a place, I believe in Canada, that happened to have it, and they shipped it out to us. I honestly thought that they were gonna ship me the regular reverb kit, but no, everything panned out, man. I gotta give these guys credit. Everything panned out perfectly. Lama Cycles, that's where I got it from, all right? So a little plug for them, I guess. Yeah, so in the kit, there's a whole bunch of parts, but what is not in the kit, and I have no idea why it's not in the kit. They should have put it in there considering how much we're gonna need. Dynamic seal grease. So, this is actually from a shock kit, and well, this is just a bottle that I bought a long time ago, but you are absolutely going to need dynamic seal grease, and it does not come with this kit. So don't start this job without it on the inside, for the inside. Right now, for the outside, and when I mean the outside, I mean the 200-hour, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go with the seal grease. Last time I opened this, one of these things up, I mean, the inside was pretty worn out. That dynamic grease turned to crap. I might end up using SRAM butter for the outside being like the outside of this tube in here, right? The actual dropper tube. So that doesn't touch any oil. That's just like any other dropper. I use SRAM grease or SRAM butter or slick oleum or slick honey. I don't know, I've never had an issue with it. This, I was amazed by how it turned into a like a sandy paste. And like I said, I have a 200-hour video that shows exactly what it looks like. All right, so I'm not 100% sure. We'll see when we get there. But what we will absolutely be needing for the inside is Serene hydraulic post fluid. Now, I'm not sure what weight this is. I believe, and I could be wrong, it's 6-weight oil. I'm not 100% sure. I know that quite a few droppers have 6-weight oil. My guess is if you don't want to get this and you have 5-weight, 5-weight will work just fine. In fact, 5-weight would probably work better for colder temperatures. But ultimately, RockShox states serene hydraulic seat post fluid. Stuff's not exactly cheap. I mean, it's their way of making extra money too, right? So ultimately, yeah, I'm going with the serene fluid. So those are all the parts needed. Now we're going to go on to the tools, and there's quite a bit of tools. As for tools, the most important tool on this bench is right here. Safety glasses. We are dealing with a pressurized device. Make sure you wear your safety glasses. You do not want oil going into your eyes, or anything going into your eyes for that matter, right? So safety glasses. So from there, we are going to have to remove the cap at the bottom. And I learned this through a subscriber, that you could use this tool. This is a 9mm socket cap. You could use this tool. It has a built-in 9mm cap socket at the bottom. It never occurred to me. I don't know why, but hey, you learn a new thing every day, right? So definitely want this RockShox tool. Comes with your reverb anyway, so you should have it. Now, after that, we have to take out a nut at the bottom. We're going to need a 22mm wrench and a 22mm crow foot later to tighten everything down. We are going to need an 11mm wrench and a 26mm wrench to take out another bolt or nut at the bottom. And we will need a 26mm crow's foot. Technically, we also need an 11mm crow foot. We technically do need it, but we can get by without it. I can't find mine. If you have one, definitely use a 11mm crow foot. On the inside, we're going to need a 23mm wrench in order to take out a nut on the inside, as well as a 23mm crow foot to torque it down. Now, here you have an option. I have a 34mm wrench. That's to take out this outer cap out here. You could use an adjustable wrench. Just be careful with it, right? But we do need to torque that thing down, and it's got some significant torque. I happen to have a 34mm crow foot. You get these crow feet online on Amazon for actually pretty decent prices. They're not all that bad. So yeah, you definitely want to torque that thing down, okay? So when we're inside, we're going to have to replace the IFP, put the new IFP in, and we're going to need an IFP depth tool. RockShox sells this. This is the 210mm version, okay? Not the regular one that comes with, or the other one that comes with the regular reverbs. We need the 210mm version of this thing, right? We're gonna need some kind of syringe, any syringe, in order to take out some oil after we fill it up with oil, so we don't make a huge mess more than anything. But again, it's not much oil that we need to take out, so if you have any syringe, that should work, right? We are going to need picks. You are absolutely going to need a vise, and we're going to need soft jaws with a flat side, and soft jaws, if you have it, based on the diameter of the post, right? So this is a 30.9, so I have a 30.9 hole over here. And for the inside, a 25mm, okay? Technically, you don't need that, but it might come in handy, believe it or not. So, before I go there, torque wrench. We need a torque wrench to torque everything down to correct specs. Shock pump. Nothing fancy over here. It doesn't need to be high pressure. Anything that goes up to 300 will do, most do. So I believe 250 is the max we put in this thing anyway, right? From there, oh yeah, we also need some kind of container to put the oil in, and towels and alcohol. And that's pretty much it. So if there's anything missing from here, we'll go over it as we're going through the video. All right, next up, let's take apart a dropper. All right, so I have my vise on the bench. I opened up the kit, right, and separated everything out in their bags, right? So I got the main piston over here, or main piston poppet, basically. I got the lower seals, the IFP, inner seal head, if you can see, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. And the main, the outer cap. And there's also a new clip to lock everything down at the bottom, okay? So I'm just gonna leave these things in order, and we'll get to them as we need them. Now, before we start this job, the first thing we have to do for the 600-hour service, not needed for the 200-hour, is put it in service mode. To put it in service mode, you're going to press this button. You're going to hear it'll open up right there. Now, to test it, you should be able to compress it all the way. I can't do that because the shock just won't allow me to do it, basically, because of the issue that it has. So if you're able to compress it all the way, then you know you're in service mode. Right now, I'm hoping it's in service mode. It should be in service mode. We'll take it from there. But definitely make sure for the 60 to 100-hour service that you are in service mode. So before we put it in a vise, make sure to take out the battery after you hit the service button. I totally forgot to mention that. All right. Next, I put the dropper in the vise. I have a nylon set or a poly set of soft jaws. I'm using these because just reflection. And if they don't work out that well, I'll just swap them out for the metal ones. Okay, but this should be pretty good. So next, we want to take off our cap. Okay. Use our little RockShox tool here and come on. There we go. Do not lose the cap. We will put it on the side. Now we want to take the air out of the dropper, grab a little rag or a piece of towel, grab anything that'll fit in there, like let's say a 3.5 or a 4 millimeter Allen. Make sure you use towel. If any like oil mist comes out, you do not want to breathe that in, all right? And remember, safety glasses. Ooh, look at that. See what I mean? Look at that. Look at all that oil coming out. That's not good. That is not good. That is not good at all. But we got the air out. That's good. That's telling me this thing's got a real big leak on the IFP. All right, let's clean all that. Okay, next up, we take out the bottom bolt or nut. Next, we want to take off this top cap, or bottom cap, technically, I guess. 22 millimeter wrench. Grab it on the two long sides. Do not grab it from the round part. There's only one way to grab onto this thing with a wrench, okay? Be careful. Don't try and use a different wrench and grab it from the other sides, or else you'll strip it, you'll do damage to it. There's only two sides you could grab this by, okay? Just like that. And take it and just unscrew it. And done. All right. Whoa. And we're going to put him on the side. As you can see, it's a little bit dirty. There's a chance that yours might be dirty as well. Just clean it up before we take out the clip. Just get in there with a paper towel. Try and take off any debris that might be in there. Okay, and expose the clip so we can see it well. Now, if you look at the clip carefully, there's a flat side. Here, let me get the new one. There's a flat side and there's an angle side. We want to grab underneath the angle side. Angle side to pop out, flat side to put back in, all right? So we're gonna grab this little pick. These little flat picks help out real well here. So grab them, I'll use on the opposite side of me here, and boom, there we go. And boom, we don't need this guy anymore, all right? Although I will put him on the side so I don't forget him. Cool. Next up, we take out the collar, just clean up any dirt that's around here just to get it out of the way so it doesn't creep in somewhere where we miss it. Next up, we're gonna take off the collar, right? So I turn him upside down or right side up in the post to make my life easier. This way it's gonna be, well, it's lefty-loosey, so counterclockwise. Now, if you're gonna use an adjustable wrench, make sure you got a real nice grip on it so you don't strip this thing. Although they do give us new ones. So I'm gonna grab my 34 and I'm just gonna, whole thing spinning, right. That's the problem with these poly soft jaws whenever things are tightly torqued down. There we go. Yep, we are good. Okay. Cool. All right, this guy is off. I'm going to turn them upside down again. Next, we need to remove the locking ring from the base plate, right? So if your dropper is still all the way closed, just lift it up, right? Just lift up the dropper component and it'll expose everything. So let's clean this a little bit first, just to make sure we get good purchase. All right. Now, 11 millimeter, 26 millimeter. The 11 millimeter goes underneath, 26 millimeter goes on top, and we're just going to give it a little crack. Boom. Done. All right. Take this guy, we're going to thread him up. And there we go. The 11 millimeter is part of this guy down here. So I'm going to put this guy on the side. Okay, next we separate the bottom. So the bottom is detached. Now we can take out the outer sleeve, right? Be careful, take them out. We have our pins over here. And done. Wow, what's that? Oh, that's the coating. As you can see, there's a bit of the coating on this little bushing down here. It's also exposed over here. That means it's wearing out. So, but this is an easy fix. You just have to take apart what I just did in order to change that part out once you get it. Okay, but anyway, point B, we have separated the bottom. Now, what we're going to do is, well, we're going to take everything out. So first we're going to start. Well, first let's take out our pins, right? So we have our 3 pins. Take the pins, we're going to put them on the side. Let's just take the pins out before anything happens to them. I need to change gloves, this one's torn. Okay, so we have our 3 pins. Now, wow, this whole thing is like literally coming apart. That's not good. This has like a Teflon coating, so it's definitely wearing. Anyway, so just open it up and pop it out. Okay, so we're going to put that on the side, and then we're going to take out our cap. Boom. That's going to get replaced. All right. Next up, we're going to, let's clean everything, and then we're going to open up the dropper post. I'd rather open up everything knowing that it's all clean. To clean everything, first we want to clean our tube, all right, and the threads on the tube. So we're going to put alcohol in this guy. We're going to take towel. Okay. Shake the alcohol in a little bit. And then we're going to push them through using a wooden dowel. So I probably should have mentioned in the beginning in the tools, a wooden dowel will come in handy. So just for this purpose right here, right? So let me do that one more time. This dirty one, and then, okay. Now also clean the threads. All right. Clean the inner threads, clean everything on the inside. Actually, there are no inner threads on this, but there is a seat. We want to make sure that seat is clean. There's no debris on it, right there. So we get a really good seal. As you can see, there is debris on it. Grab a plastic pick. You could hear it too. All right. Now let's grab a clean, actually let's put alcohol on it again. Clean cloth this time, bunch it up to a ball. Squeeze it in there real hard. There we go. Goal here, we want to clean out the guides. Mostly clean. One more time should do it. Bunch it up. So we have 3 guides for the pins. We want to make sure those walls are totally clean and there's absolutely no debris on them. Try that one more time. Oh yeah, that's good. That is real good. That's perfectly clean. Let's make sure, again, on the inside here, we're good. See what I mean? There's some kind of crazy buildup over here on the seat. Good, that's gone. And we have our seal, our threads, and our thread is clean. Our tube is clean. This guy, we will not need anymore. We get a new one in the kit. We'll get to him later. Now here is my concern. So I don't have a spare one of these. And he is definitely wearing. I don't understand why they did this. They should have just went with plastic. I don't know, maybe I'm off, who knows. I'm sure these guys know better than me, but it just seems like even the other one I did, it was peeling off just like that, right? So I don't know, it is what it is. Right now I can't do much about it, and I don't want to get rid of it. I want to save as much as I can. The only problem is if I put it back in, it's going to want to come off. So I'll figure that one out as it comes. Let's clean our pins. It's just to have everything ready and everything clean. More importantly, I want to clean that before I completely open it up. Just in case there's any debris on the outside, I do not want it falling into the inside. Okay, one pin. 2 pins. And this way we could inspect our pins. They're clean. Now, pins have lines on them, or they have 0 lines on them. This one has 3 lines on it. That means each and every one of these pins should have 3 lines on it. That 200-hour service that I did, or at least the dropper in the 200-hour service, that was not the case. And this one too. I was told by RockShox that from the factory they should have identical pins. 3 lines on this one. Well, maybe I need my glasses. This could be that it's wearing, but this doesn't look like it has any lines to me on it. Oh well, we'll figure that one out later. Interesting, very interesting. So let's clean this guy here well. Clean the threads on this. Okay. This we have a replacement for. We don't need them. And now we clean the cap. This guy, for some reason, he's got red stuff all over him. Which is funny because that other dropper had red stuff on it. I'm wondering if that's a reaction between maybe the oil and the dynamic grease. Why red? It looks like rust color. I thought it might have been dirt from when we went to Moab on that last dropper post. This is a bit of a coincidence. Okay, I will get him later with a brush to get all that stuff off. All right, now we clean this guy. I want him cleaned out real well. I see no wear, unlike that other post, which you guys saw, man, it was completely worn off. Okay. Okay, this guy is clean. Let me clean this mess up and then we open up that damper. So I had a bit of a scare. I thought I was going to be screwed with this job because I didn't realize that the part is in the kit. It's actually around the whole mechanism here, well, the whole top half over here that we're going to have to pull out. So, whew, you have no idea when I realized that. I didn't see it in the kit. I'm like, come on, man. So my apologies, RockShox. Thank you for including this. So this is garbage. Next up, we take out the bumper. We have a replacement bumper in the kit, and then we take out the foam ring, and we have a replacement foam ring in the kit. This one's a mess. All right, now again, let's clean everything up just to make sure there's no debris in here. Okay. Now, we will open up the damper. So now we have to take out this cap. To do that, we need a 23 millimeter wrench. Now, here's the issue. We have no idea how much pressure is in here, right? And if there's a lot of pressure in here, this thing's gonna wanna pop. My guess is, in my case, there's gonna be a significant amount of pressure in there, okay? So what we're gonna do is take a towel and cover and force down. So before we do that, there's very little room over here for a wrench to grip. So if you're not gonna use a proper 23 millimeter wrench and you want an adjustable wrench, be very careful. There's literally about 3 millimeters, if that, okay? Because there's a seat over here, essentially. So that's all we get, right there. So make sure that you're better off, in my opinion, using an actual 23 millimeter wrench for this, okay? So with the way we're gonna do this is, we're gonna get good purchase, then we're gonna grab onto the shaft with a towel, right? And keep our palm down, putting pressure downwards onto the wrench as we slowly unscrew it. Also, the poly soft jaws weren't good enough. I had to go to aluminum soft jaws for this, all right? So again, get purchase on it, get good, just make sure you got good grip. Grab a towel, wrap the shaft, and press down as we are unscrewing. Wow, this thing's still spinning. Okay, let's try this now. There we go. Yep. You hear it? I could hear the pressure. Slowly. Okay. Now, again, grab it, grab the shaft, and put pressure downwards with this hand, just in case it wants to pop up. Slowly, slowly. See what I mean? There definitely is pressure built up in there. I could see it. Oil's already coming out. Oh yeah, just in case, take an oil pan, put it underneath. Okay, where are we? Okay. Okay. Better safe than sorry. Just do it real slow. If you do it slow, pressure will escape from the threads. I'm assuming we're pretty close. Okay, now I'm going to do the rest by hand and hold it down, press downwards as we're unscrewing it. Okay. Don't look at it, right? Make sure your body's off the side. Okay, that should be good. Whoa, see what I mean? There we go. There was actually a good amount of pressure. I had to put some serious force down. Well, serious force down, so a good amount of force down. All right, so definitely want it to pop up. Okay, next we are going to take out the internal rod. And we have a seal that needs to get changed over here. And this whole thing here is going to get changed. That's the new one. Put that guy on the side. Now we'll take him out and empty out the oil that's in there. There we go. I'm going to let him sit upside down like this for a bit and let him completely drain. And let the camera cool off too. All right, I'll be back. Next, we're going to take apart our vent rod. All right, first we need to clean it. spray it with alcohol. You grab a clean one. Where are you? Come on. Make sure it's all clean. Okay. And oil free, because we are going to put this in a 10 millimeter hole soft jaw. All right. And by the way, you could do the whole thing with flat jaws. I just happen to have a soft jaw with a 25 millimeter hole. If you use a flat one, you could like literally just press it on the sides. Just make sure it's pressed evenly over here, right? I should have mentioned that in the beginning. My bad. Oh well. Now we are going to grab our 11 millimeter. We are going to go underneath right here at the top. There's a nut, and we're just going to unscrew it. Okay. And what we're going to do is remove the entire inner rod. There we go. Let's put that here for now. Now we're going to remove this guy here. And we have a replacement right here. All right, put this guy here for now. Next, we'll change the seal first down here. Next, we want to clean and inspect everything. Clean the threads. Make sure everything is clean. Make sure there are no scratches. All right. What you can do if you want to clean the inside, again, put a little bit of alcohol in there. All right. Just take a bit, just a little bit, not much, of paper towel. Put it in there. Actually, that's too much. I'm going to put less. Put it in there. All right. And then grab a wooden skewer that's long enough and just tuck it through. There we go. That didn't work. Do it one more time. You can even roll this into a ball. Just don't make it too big a ball. But, you know, so it fits in and goes through without getting jammed. There you go, just like that. Boom. Yep, she is totally clean. All right. Now we could change our first seal. So on top of this white Teflon ring, it's a split ring, there is a seal. If you have a plastic pick, go underneath it and try and lift it out. Just like that. All right, that's the old one. Now in this kit, we have our main piston poppet, AKA O-ring. All right. Now we are going to take, put the old one away. We're going to take dynamic grease, smear it real well. Then we're going to take it, and it goes on top of the white thing, right? So make sure we don't, this is a little bit sharp edges. Make sure that you don't tear it or damage it. And boom. I'm going to take a little bit of dynamic grease again and just put it on the outside. All right. Cool. Next we put on that seal. So this is our old seal head. We're going to put it on the side. We don't need it anymore because we have a new seal head. We're going to take it out of its bag. Now, we're going to grab dynamic grease. We're going to fill up the inside. Put a good amount here. Don't be afraid. Like what I'm going to do, just grab this little spatulator, sink them in, just like that. There's seals on the inside. Make sure that they are nicely covered. All right, just like that. See that blue seal or O-ring on the inside? It's more like a, I don't know, it might be a quad. No, it's not a quad ring. It's just a regular ring. Okay. Now we got to put them in. So let's say this is pointy, is the pointy part at the top, flat part's the bottom. We have the threads here. We have the nut down here. Threads go towards the top, right? So take this guy and put him in just like that, okay? Now, grab a little bit of paper towel and just clean the excess. Done. This guy is done. Now, in our lower seal head kit, we have a foam ring and a bumper. So we're going to take the bumper first, put it on top, and then the foam ring on top of that. All right, just like that. We're going to put this on the side for now. Now we have these two little O-rings, and these two little O-rings should go right in here. Let's replace the two O-rings on the vent rod. All right, so where was I? Grab a pick, get underneath it. These are going to probably be a pain in the butt. All these small ones are a pain in the butt. Might be easier with two picks, to be honest. There we go, got this one. That's one. Now the other one's over here. All right. Yeah. Oh boy, this one's going to be a real pain in the butt. I got that side. Nope, not the glove. There we go. All right. Now we got this guy. Let's make sure he doesn't pop into the bottom part. At least putting the new ones in is going to be easy. There we go. That's two. I'm going to take a little bit of dynamic grease on this guy here. Put him in the first one, and then we'll roll the second one over the first one. Boom. Done. And was all that in frame? Hopefully that was in frame. Just try and roll him over. Oh, he just fell inside? Great. That was unexpected. Usually in scenarios like that, one will just roll over the other one. Great. There he goes. No, he doesn't. Come on. There we get the one underneath. Follow the luck. Come on. Look at that. Now he's going to give me a hard time. Great. Come on. Just roll over. Oop. Don't want to overstretch him. Look at this. You believe this? Out of all the luck. I'm sure nothing was wrong with the other ones, but since we're here, let's try and get him over. Let's grab this plastic one and let's stretch him over just like that. That's the first time that's failed me to this level like that. Usually when there's two O-rings, one on top of the other, there we go. Jeez, man, come on. Give me a hard time. Boom, and he fits in perfectly now. All right, so, done. Now we put this guy in this guy. Let's put the valve rod in the inner shaft. Inner shaft, this portion of it goes towards the bottom. Put that in our vise. 10mm hole again, right? Grab our vent valve. Oops, a little bit too much. Get some dynamic grease and put it on the O-rings. Okay. Now we're going to take this and we're going to put them in. Might be a little bit stiff because of the O-rings. There you go. A little stiff at the bottom. Okay. We're going to screw him in. $11mm wrench. Now, I don't have an 11mm crowfoot. I cannot find it. I have 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, all the way up to like 40. I don't have the 11. I don't know where it's at. I must have used it and misplaced it like a bonehead. So if you do have an 11mm crowfoot, it's 4.7 Newton meters. 7 Newton meters is fist tight, basically. So not finger tight. I mean, it's fist tight. Just make sure that this thing's not turning underneath. Yep, let's turn it. Let me clamp it down a little bit more. So 7 Newton meters is pretty good, actually. It's decent strength. Make sure this thing's not turning. Oh, there we go. So that should do it. Right there. All right. Our inner shaft is done. Next, we work on the IFP. Okay, so next we took the top part of the dropper, positioned it upside down. The main head is down here, right? And we need to take out the IFP tube, okay? In order to take the IFP tube, preferred a plastic pick with a hook, right? If you have a metal pick, just be very careful. There's 4 holes in here. Just try and get one of the holes and pick up the tube. Boom. That is our IFP tube, okay? Our IFP is in here. Now, RockShox claims you could use, tie wraps in order to be able to pull out the IFP. The goal would be, that's the new IFP, to basically get a bunch of tie wraps underneath it, okay? Just like that. And then it'll pull up the IFP, okay? But that only works if the IFP isn't all the way at the bottom. So we have to take a look to see if the IFP is at the bottom. In other words, you need enough room underneath for the head of the tie wraps to go under in order to be able to pull out the IFP, right? And looking at this guy, wow, ooh, boy, he's all the way at the bottom. This guy here, he's literally all the way at the bottom. I don't know if you can see him, but he's like at the end. It doesn't get any further. So that could be problematic. That makes it literally impossible to do it with these zip ties, right? Actually, it makes it relatively difficult, but not the end of the world. There is a solution for it. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our IFP tube. We're going to put it back in. Okay, and you want to sink it in the middle of that hole, just like that. Boom. Okay, and make sure it's in between. It's sunk all the way in between the IFP, or inside the IFP. Then what we're going to do, okay, is we're going to take our internal assembly, right? Make sure this is all the way at the top. And we're going to push it down, and there's going to be pressure. And there you go. In fact, we just killed 2 birds with 1 stone. We lifted the IFP from the bottom. Let me double check that. Oh yeah, he's lifted from the bottom. He's nearly in the middle now. So we lifted it from the bottom and, well, took out the IFP tube again, okay? So if you find that your IFP, and this is for all reverbs, if you find that your IFP is all the way at the bottom and you can't get it out, do exactly what I just did. Put the tube back in there, make sure you put it in the right way, holes go on top, and then sink in the rod, and the pressure will pop the IFP back up, okay? So now what we can do is take zip ties. Do you have any idea how many of these zip ties I have? These are from tires, I keep them like Maxxis tires, any tires. I have too many of these, which is sad if you think about it, because that's a lot of money spent on tires. Now, these are actually pretty big, but the nice thing with the big ones is I don't need as many, right? So make sure that, come on, get in there. There we go, that's one. Make sure the zip tie sinks underneath the IFP. Make sure the other one sinks underneath the IFP. Let's take this one. Third one might be a little bit trickier. There we go. Now, you don't need 7, 8, 10 zip ties for crying out loud. Grab a dowel. Put the dowel now in between the zip ties. Okay. Make sure it goes through the IFP. Now it's going to create pressure outwards. Boom. There is our IFP. All right. Problem solved. So again, if you find your IFP is all the way at the bottom, put your tube back in, make sure you put it in the right way, holes go on top, and then sink in the rod. If it doesn't work the first time, pull it out again, try it a second time. You will pop that IFP from the bottom, okay? Don't try and go in there with picks. Don't try and go in there and yank it out with some kind of metal tool. Just do exactly what I did and it will pop out. All right, let's just clean the inside of this, right? Because I have no idea what condition everything was in. I mean, the oil was definitely used up. I'm gonna put a little bit of alcohol in here. I'm gonna grab a wooden dowel, right? Wrap it with some paper towel, lint-free paper towel. I'm gonna take an elastic, rubber band, whatever you wanna call it. Wrap it all around. Make sure it doesn't come off. Give it a little bit, tear some off so you get some kind of mop action. Put it in here. There we go. There we go. And that should clean it out just fine. Oh yeah, that is spotless inside. Cool. Well, now we have to put in our head. Okay, next step is to put on the new top cap. This is the old top cap. Take a look inside. That's all worn off. Guys, honestly, or folks, I should say, if you have reverb accesses, if you have a reverb access, I would regularly take a look at, inspect them. I mean, that's some, I mean, this one hasn't, my understanding is this one hasn't really been ridden all that much since he's owned it, right? So that is just super, super surprising. So we had that collar, the bushing basically that was completely, I mean, that thing was wrecked. And this one over here in the cap, I mean, all that finish is completely wearing off. I mean, it's peeling off, completely peeling off. So this is shot. I mean, this would eventually do damage without a doubt because it would be metal on metal, right? So when I'm not forcing this, I mean, I'm just touching it and it's just coming off on its own. So just an FYI on that one, guys. I would really keep up with your 50-hour maintenance on these posts. They just, seems to me there's a couple of areas in them that are questionable at best, in my opinion. Okay, so we have a new one. All right, now with the new one, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grease it. We're gonna grease it real well. Now what I like doing is filling up the concave part with grease. Just like that. Try and make it flat. I know it seems like a lot, but hey man, look what happens to these posts. And definitely try and fill up the Teflon ring. All right. So now we're going to take it, wiper down. Make sure the wipers don't fold when you put them in, okay? It's going to be a little bit stiff. Might want to jiggle it. There we go. And now we will just clean off all this grease. And you know what? We could take it, we could put it where the pins are going to go anyway. Okay. All right. That takes care of that. Time to start assembly. Now before we assemble, let's make sure our threads are clean. We don't have too much excessive grease from when we put in the top cap. All right, we are good. Now we're going to grab our IFP tube and we're going to grab our Serene oil. What we're going to do is we're going to dip our IFP tube in the oil so we can coat it real well both sides. All right, so we do one and side two. Let it drip. Okay, now with the IFP tube, again, we have holes. The holes stay up, okay? They stay on top. Now we're gonna put this guy in and we have to find his socket. You will hear a snap when he goes in place, okay? So let's take him, put him in, just fiddle him around. Maybe use your pinky finger, it might be a little bit easier. And there will be a snap when he finds a socket. Yeah. Where are you? Yeah. Has to be dead in the middle, but he's a little bit long and. Come on. Get in there. Oop. I felt it there for a second. There we go. Boom. You hear that snap? That's what you want to hear. Push him down. That means he is in place. Now we have to fill him up with oil, but what we are going to do is take a towel, because it's going to be a mess. And just wrap him around so he acts like a tampon more than anything. Okay. Cool. Now what we are going to do, we're going to take our oil. I'm going to fill them up to the top. Do it slowly. The slower the better. You have less bubbles going in there. Right to the top. Okay. Like that. Now, grab something rubber, tap it, just to make sure there's no bubbles that are stuck on the inside. Any bubbles on top, just wipe them. All right. That takes care of that. One more thing. Put a container underneath to catch any oil that's going to spill. All right. And you know what? Just to play it safe, put a towel over the entire head mechanism, right? The electronic mechanism. Just take it, wrap it around, and sort of tie it in a knot. This way it'll protect it. All right. Right there. Perfect. Cool. Next, the IFP. We have our old IFP. We're tossing that away because we have the new IFP. That's the last of the major parts. Come on, open up. Oh, for crying out loud. Okay, now we are going to grease this, and I mean a lot. See, both grooves over here, we want them completely filled with grease. Okay, so this tube is running out. So take this guy and just fill him up completely. Pack him. Literally pack him until he's even. Do not leave any bubbles in there. All right. Oops. Put it here so we can see it. One side. second side. Take all that in here since it's not going to do us any good anyway. There we go. Okay. So now, let's take the rest and just coat everything. All right, so now we're going to put them in, right? And obviously it's going to spill over. But when we put them in, we don't want it to be flush with this. We want it to be flush, the edge to be flush with the inner IFP tube, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to put them in, press with both hands. Watch out, you might pop. Shake them around. It's going to be a little bit stiff. Come on. As for orientation, it doesn't matter, right? Either side works. Come on. Might have to move the tube. Oh, there we go. Nope, had him. Got to make sure he doesn't get caught on the inner seal, basically, right? So, come on. This is tricky because the inner tube moves a lot. Yeah. Great, come on. Oh, there we go. That's one side, that's the other side. Okay, we got him. Right, now we're going to take them down and we're going to make them flush with the inner tube. Okay. And there you go. See how I'm flush with the inner tube? Actually, I'm a little bit higher. Okay. Next, we sink them in with the IFP depth tool. Okay, we have our IFP depth tool. Here's where the syringe is also going to come in handy, okay? First, you have to find out the IFP depth for your dropper. This is a 150 dropper. So a 150 is 155 millimeters, right? A 100 is about 105 millimeters, a 125 is 130, a 150 is 155, and a 170 is 175, okay? Now, I wish they made it where you could, I really like Fox's IFP depth tools. You can lock everything in place and you know exactly, you can't overshoot basically, right? So unfortunately, that's not gonna be the case over here. So what we're gonna have to do is sink in that IFP, in my case, to 155, right there, okay? And that's gonna be a little bit tricky. Don't force it too hard, okay? You definitely don't want to overshoot this or you have to start from scratch, okay? So we're going to put it on first, on top. Then we're just going to, it's going to be stiff. Real stiff, okay? But it'll go down, just go side to side, and it will sink in. And the height is very, very important. There we go. Like I said, it'll go in like, sometimes it'll jerk in and then it stops, gets stuck again, and then it'll jerk in again. Cover the top with your, don't cover it, but put your thumb over it just in case oil flies out, right? Shouldn't happen. But again, I gotta go to 155. So we got a way to go. There you go, see what I mean by it jerks in? Okay, a bit of a camera overheat issue. Let's try this again. So we are sinking it down. Take your time with this one, right? Just take your time. Again, 155 is our target. If it gets stuck, just wiggle it slowly round and round, right? So, do not force it down hard. You want it to go down smooth. Okay. Now, oil might be getting closer to the top, which it is. That's normal. We'll suck some of it out so it doesn't completely overfill on us. So I'm getting closer. Getting closer. Okay, so we got oil there. Let's suck some of it out. All right. Let's go down. We're at 145. Now, when you get close to the end, don't try and force it down. Try and wiggle it downwards until you get to your mark, okay? Which is 155 in my case. I got to go down so I can see it. All right, and boom. Now we want the target height to be equal with the outer body, not the IFP body, right? So I am right there right now. Boom. Okay, so we have excess oil here. Let's remove some more of that oil so it doesn't make too much of a mess on us. All right. Okay. So now we remove the IFP tube. Now move it straight up. I mean the IFP depth tool. Okay. There we go. So we want oil to be level, right, with the top of the IFP depth tool here, right? So, or yeah, the IFP tube, sorry. So I'm going to add in, actually I got some here. I'm going to add in a little bit of oil. And a little bit more oil. There we go. Now we are, oops, I put in a little bit too much oil. Let's take some of this out. There we go. Now we are even with the top. Okay, the top of the inner tube. That's where we want to be. Cool. Next, we'll let the camera cool off and close it up. Now to put the rod into the shaft, okay, into the IFP tube. Now before we do that, we want to fill it up with grease. Put a bunch of dynamic seal grease around the O-ring. Okay, just like that. Now, we want this ledge over here to be even with the top of the IFP tube, okay? Putting the seal in is going to be really tough, okay? It's not going to be easy. So we're going to sink it in just like that. And as you see, it's tough right now, right? So try and sink it in. You might have to tap it. And we need to sink it until, again, just be careful you don't overshoot it. Might have to tap it. There we go. Once you feel the seal go in, it'll go in. All right, so now we're going to sink this guy, and we're going to make sure, use your fingers so you can feel that he goes even with the IFP tube, okay? There we go. We are good right there. All right, perfect. We are even. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to take off our towel, like a tampon, like I said. Put it on the side. We're going to take the oil and empty it out. And since this is good oil, I plan on keeping it and putting the oil back into the bottle. All right. Good stuff. Clean the outside of the tube. And we put it back on the vise. Knock it all down. Move this out of the way before I spill the whole thing. Time to seal her up. So, again, we are even over here, right? So we're going to take our seal head and carefully put it down. and by hand thread her in. There we go. Okay, getting stiffer. Let me get my wrench. It's the 23, not the 22. It's the 23. Now remember, be careful when you grip onto it. Right. And then we're going to have to torque it down 28 Newton meters. Oh, that was unexpected. Sorry about that. Okay, oh, the whole shaft is moving out. Oh boy, I'm probably going to have to change. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this thing 28 Newton meters inside this. Had to change out my soft jaw. The other one was just not hard enough or tight enough. So 28 Newton meters. Again, 90-degree angle on the crowfoot. Oh, whole thing's moving. A little bit tighter. .28 on the nose. And remember, always with torque wrenches, grab them from here, never like this, never like that. All right. So the damper portion is finished. Now we go through the regular 200 hour of just greasing up and closing her back up. Now we grease things up and put it all back together. All right, so first we're gonna start off with finding the back of the post, right? That's where the battery is. And we're gonna make sure that the Teflon ring over here, or the bushing, lines up with this key at the back of the post, okay? So then, well, I think I'm gonna run out of grease on this one. We're gonna take a good amount of dynamic grease, and we're going to put it all around this Teflon ring or this bushing, just like that. Be generous with this. Okay. Now we're going to take a bunch of grease and we're going to put it on the inside, the top part of the post. Right? So this is the top part where it says RockShox. Just coat the inside real well. I'm going to put a little bit more in there. Play it safe. Boy, I'm running out. Gotta open up the other. Okay. Now we're going to put it together. So we're going to put the pins on after, because this could get real stiff. So battery is the back of the post, letters is the back of the post. Okay, this is aligned. Make sure that this is aligned. Now get the foam ring and the bumper in there, and then we'll probably have to jiggle it. Oh, there we go. Okay, we got it in. Now bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. All right, until we see the guides for the pins, or the slots for the pins. Some dynamic grease, put it in the slots. Then we're going to grab our pins, which are nice and clean, and pin 1. Oops. I put the rings upwards. Right. 1, pin 2, and pin 3. Okay, now let's put a little bit of dynamic grease over the shaft. All right. Now we're going to take this guy. Be careful with the pins. Make sure they don't pop off. just like that. Crying out loud. 1. Wrong. Do it again. 2. Come on. 2. And 3. We got to get them in the slots, all right? So, might have to jiggle it. There we go, just like that. All right. I'm gonna put them on back on the vise and close them up. We are back on the vise. We have our torque wrench ready at 28 Newton meters. And well, in my case, I got the 34 millimeter wrench. So we're gonna take our cap. So I'm gonna clean some of this off. There we go. Take our cap, screw them down by hand. Take our wrench. Oops. All right. Now we are going to take our crow's foot and 28.2. We are good. Now we finish up the bottom. Now we got to put on our bottom out bolt. Before we do that, or nut, let's make sure this all grease that was left over is cleaned off this thing. Okay. We're going to screw this guy down by hand. .26 millimeter. With the 11 millimeter underneath, okay? So the whole idea is we want to tie them together. 7 Newton meters. So again, 11 millimeter underneath. And here we go. 7.14. He is done. And next, we put in the retaining clip, as always, angled side to remove, flat side to put in, okay? So we take the flat side, we sink them into the seat. First we have to find the seat. Where's the seat? Okay, there's the seat. Then we take him and we basically put him in. Boom. Let's test him out. Yep, he is in. Then we take our top cap, thread him in by hand. That's a 22 millimeter wrench. What we're going to need is a 16 millimeter above. Totally forgot about that. And there we go. Oh, my bad. Cool. Next, we fill them up with air. There, take them. 250 psi max. All right. Where am I? There we go. 250. Then we put our cap on and we use our little tool. Come off the vise. Next, we test it. So now we test them out. Let's put a towel to absorb some impact over here. Grab our remote, press down, and boom. Boom, and boom. Let's do it halfway. Boom. Awesome. Let's test out service mode. Yep, service mode works perfectly. That's what service mode does. It just keeps the valve open inside. And let's take it out of service mode. There, does not move 1 millimeter. Pow. She is working perfectly. Ta-da! And there you have it, a full 600-hour service on a RockShox Reverb AXS Dropper post. Very involved, but not all that hard. In all reality, once you get used to it, it isn't all that bad. There's a couple of tricky parts in there when it comes to setting the IFP and then putting the lifting rod in. But outside of that, it's just typical stuff. So for a 600-hour service, I get it. I think their 200-hour service is pretty involved for a dropper post. There's a lot to take off and on, or take off and put on again. But yeah, you could do this definitely. Finding the kit is going to be a little bit difficult, but I'm sure that will eventually solve itself as time goes by. So one thing I will absolutely say is keep up with your 50-hour service. Constantly lube or grease this guy here, the collar, and the bushing on the inside. As you guys saw in this video, they have like a coating on them, and that coating peels off. My guess it peels off once it starts getting a lot of friction and there's not enough grease. I don't know why it peels off, but it definitely peels off. That's been pretty consistent, and this one was pretty bad considering supposedly this one either hasn't had all that much use on it. Okay, another thing is I'd like to thank Rob over there who actually trusted me to actually send this to me and work on his post for him. I will be sending it back ASAP. Ultimately, I really appreciate it. So, because I wouldn't be able to have done a 600-hour service most likely till about fall time sometime, by the time everybody's done with their posts this year, right? So, as always, if you like the video, guys, please press the like button. If you dislike the video, please just ignore it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos coming. Hit the bell button, bing, 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 in order to get notified when new videos get released, and more videos will be coming. All right. Until then, hope all is well with everyone, and we will talk to you soon. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.